fragrance trends for 2024. So fragrance trends are always changing year to year. What about this new year? What's up? So, unsurprisingly, sweet and spicy scents are still in fashion, especially sweet scents. They've been popular for quite a few years by now, and they're going to continue to be pretty popular for the foreseeable future. Sweet scents, you can expect something like Angel from Mugler, pretty sweet and sugary, maybe like Altair from Parfum de Mali as well. So the thing about sweet scents or gourmand scents, they're pretty much always going to be popular, again, for the foreseeable future. They're just really attractive, especially for women. Usually they're marketed towards women. They are mainly like edible, like smell like a snack sort of thing. Also, they're usually very, very strong. So if you want to smell super sugary and you don't want to reapply your fragrance throughout the day, just get a gourmand. They're just going to be popular, for the majority of the year and probably even like the next few years. They're just reliable scents and they're super, super feminine. Even in terms of sweet fragrances, they're even starting to infiltrate the male market, which is something pretty new. And they're just kind of fun to wear, they smell like vanilla or caramel or chocolate or something like fruit. So they're just fun to wear and they're really popular. So again, like Angel from Mugler and things like that, or even like La Vie est Belle, they'll probably still remain popular throughout this year. Now, not just gourmand sweet fragrances are going to stay popular, but also trends are still kind of shifting towards like tobacco smoky scents as well. Like Tom Ford Tobacco Oud, perfect example of what's gonna be popular and stay popular. People are really getting into this kind of really heavy smoky oud. Oud especially, super popular. As soon as someone sees oud, they get really excited about it because it's just that really unique kind of musky, woodsy note. Then you mix that with like tobacco, perfect combination. More and more fragrances are starting to do that combination with the smokiness, then mixing with the oud. So you can't really go wrong with it. Now, obviously, if you're not big on smoky fragrances or really strong, heavy fragrances, this trend might be out of your line of comfort, out of your reach. But in general, tobacco fragrances are going to be super popular. And there's just more and more tobacco fragrances these days, pretty much more than ever. So keep that in mind. I personally am pretty excited about it because I love tobacco fragrances. Like the Tom Ford Tobacco Oud, great fragrance. Now, besides the kind of smoky tobacco oud trend, another pretty prominent trend coming out is fruity types of fragrances, especially like exotic fruits and that sort of stuff. These kind of correlate, they go hand in hand with the gourmand sweet fragrances. Like La Vie est Belle is a pretty good example where it blends a lot of those fruit notes with very sugary notes. Now, there are some that are more just like pure fruit. Like there's Creed Carmina, which is a pretty good example of like a really like exotic fruit, forbidden fruit sort of thing going on. But there are, some other examples as well. But definitely those fruity notes are going to be trending. They're going to be popular for this year, most likely the next years as well. And in general, fruit fragrances are pretty likable. They're designed to be pretty well balanced, very friendly, approachable types of fragrances. So you can't really go wrong with them unless you are just really not a fan of the sweetness that they have. Now, I will say, the problem that I have with some fruity fragrances, maybe I've just been smelling the wrong ones, they smell kind of like body wash-esque to me sometimes, which I'm not a big fan of. They smell kind of diluted to me. I always think of like Versace Bright Crystal, which has some like pomegranate notes and some other fruit notes. Not a big fan of that, but there are definitely some really, really high quality fruity fragrances that are more intense, they're more interesting, they have more layers, more of a texture and a character. So it really just depends on what type of fragrance you go for. but there's definitely some really good and really popular fruity fragrances coming out. And then another trend is kind of like the clean, very subtle type of fragrance, like Skin to Skin. There's like Purple Noon, which is a good example, or like Not a Perfume from Juliet Has a Gun. These really subtle, very intimate types of fragrances that aren't so much for letting other people smell you, but just for you to know how you smell. You know that you smell good, you smell clean, and that sort of thing. So very subtle types of fragrances here. Not so much about, again, showing off, but more just about, you know, adding this to like your hygiene routine, your scent routine, that sort of thing. And also just like the art of subtlety, you know. But I always think Not a Perfume is a really, really good example of that, because it is probably the simplest example of a, you know, skin to skin type of fragrance, because it has one note versus, you know, other fragrances that have dozens of notes. But in general, kind of this trend of subtle fragrances, clean fragrances, is definitely going to continue probably for many years to come. But that is pretty much what I have to say about upcoming fragrance trends here. You know, I've done some research. I've compiled what it seems to be what trends are going to be the trendiest for this year. But hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, of course, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.